In a previous video, we saw that we can use this enable persist authorization function so that we can store the JWT in Swagger so that we don't always have to put it back every time we want to use it. Let's see an example of that. Let's come here to Swagger and let's see that even if I refresh the page, we're going to see that this lock is closed, meaning that there is a JWT present and therefore I can consume this endpoint that is behind an authorized attribute, but since I'm sending the JWT, then I'm getting back a 200 OK response. That is great, but somebody asked me in the comments, what do I have to do if I only want this code to run in development and not in production? Well, for that we have two choices. The first one involves using is development. Let's see an example. Let's come here and let me say comment option 1. Alright, so what I'm saying is that I can say here if app environment is development and then put this here so that this code will only run in a development environment. And we know that we can configure that through an environment variable. That has a consequence. That means that in production, somebody can alter that environment variable and then run this code. Let's see an example. Let's see that if we come back here, this still works, right? I can refresh and this lock is closed, meaning that the JWT will get sent. But if I come here and then I come here to properties launch settings JSON, here I can modify this environment variable and I can say production save. And let's see that we can come here. Let me refresh. And let's see that now, if I refresh, we can see that now the lock is open, meaning that the JWT will not get sent. As you can see here, we're going to get back a 401. But again, as I said, somebody can go into production, change this environment variable back to development, for example, and then this code will run. This code that we have here will run, and that means that we're going to have the lock closed, meaning that we're going to be sending the JWT. So this option that we have here, this option 1 is flexible because it allows you to change whether you want to run this code on production or not, changing an environment variable. But maybe you will tell me, but what can I do if I don't want anybody, not even myself, to be able to modify, let's say, an environment variable and then run this code? Maybe this is some code that you never, ever want to run in production. Well, for that, you can use a preprocessor directive. With a preprocessor directive, we can basically strip away this code in the compilation process when we are building this application in release mode. Let's see an example. Let's say here, option 2, and by the way, let me comment this out. And let's say here, preprocessor directive, if, and then end if. Alright, and in this if, I will put debug so that the code that we put here will only get into the final DLL if we are in debug mode. So let me copy this and paste this here. And please notice that I am in debugging mode, right? I am compiling my application in debug mode. Therefore, if I say Ctrl F5, let's come here and let's see that indeed this is working. The lock is closed because I am in debug mode. But if I come here and I change this to release, then immediately we get this code grayed out, meaning that it will be stripped away in the compilation process and therefore it will not be present in the final DLL, meaning that even if I change an environment variable or whatever, it doesn't matter because this code will not even be present in the DLL. Let's see that. Let me press Ctrl F5 to run our application. Let's come here and let's see that now the lock is open. If I refresh, the lock is open, meaning that that code will never run. So in summary, this one is a flexible option because it allows you to, simply by changing an environment variable in production, you can decide whether you want to run this code or not. And this one is more strict because there is no way for you to run this code in production, even if you have access to changing the environment variables in production. If you want to learn more about how to build minimal APIs with ASP.NET Core, buy my Udemy course today. Link with a discount in the description of this video. Thank you.